Hello and welcome to Education World. I'm Reshma and we have with us Kanchan Khandke. Kanchan is the principal of Ecole Globale International Girls School and has over 3 decades of experience in education. She's previously served as the principal of a Mayo College Girls School from 2013 to 2023 and has held several academic and leadership positions in schools like the Welham Girls School, Indus International School, National Defense Academy, and Hutchings High School. She continues to teach history and English. She holds an MA in history from the University of Pune, a B.Ed from Loreto College, and a history honors degree from Presidency College. She has also completed professional certifications from the Association of Montessori International, Cambridge, and the International Baccalaureate. Welcome, Ms. Kanchan.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, given your background, let's start off by asking you, what do you think about Indian parents considering boarding schools today as compared to, say, a couple of years ago?
Well, honestly, I do feel that they do feel the experience of sending their children to a boarding school is still worthwhile.
Okay.
There was a time many, many years ago when boarding schools, of course, were fewer in number, definitely, and greatly sought after. I do remember because I come from a family where my father, my brother all went to boarding schools. And, the child had to be registered when the child was very, very young. Today those processes have become easier and simpler, but I feel parents still seek boarding schools. So when I look at parents today, I do not feel that they feel residential schools are now a thing of the past. In fact, considering the fact that for getting through interviews, whether at the college level, at the career level, people are looking for an individual who's an individual in his own right or her own right, in the sense her own person or his own person, like an all round, they're looking for a person who can talk on a variety of issues. They're looking at a person who's interested in a number of things, may not be excelling, so there's a sense of an all round development of a personality that people look for, and that automatically is an outcome of residential school education. And along with that comes, of course, the social development, emotional development, empathetic approach towards people, respect for cultures and the spirit of internationalism that is automatically getting cultivated and nurtured in schools.
Okay. And I think, it wouldn't be wrong to say that a large number of parents whose kids study in international boarding schools aspire to send their children abroad for higher studies.
Yes.
Now we are all aware of the current scenario about the ongoing visa-related conflicts with Canada and USA and the war-related conflicts that are going on in the Middle East. So, in such a situation, how does a parent prepare a child?
With respect to sending their children abroad in the current scenario, yes, it is a very big challenge. I know we have students who aspire to go to the US. They haven't given up on that dream, but they've been talking to us about how tough it is to even get a visa interview date. Forget about getting the visa. And they've got to, in fact, when they apply, they could be sent to any city, which is not their home city, just to appear for that visa interview. So, yes, the United States, it's becoming tougher. There are a lot of visa rejections as well, which are happening. The Middle East crisis, honestly, Dubai, places like Dubai are so well known for international education. And
Yes.
they naturally, safety, security being of paramount importance to any parent, that is going to be a very major issue for them to consider about when they're thinking about sending their children. However, I feel children must prepare with a backup option, personal dreams. You wish to go to the US, keep the doors open for other places. For example, Australia is a good place for university. If you want to go abroad to study, first and foremost, identify your course. Identify the universities all over the world which offer it. If your first choice is the US and that's going to be a stumbling block, or Dubai, or whatever, European universities are there, Australia is there, Singapore is there. So look at your backup option. Don't close. And of course, the Indian universities, some of our Indian universities, some traditional, the ones which were traditionally known to be very good, are still good. You've got very good modern new private universities also, which have come up, which are offering quality education. So keep the backup plan ready, and therefore plan accordingly for your higher education. This is what I would suggest. So no curtailing your dreams, but being realistic and practical and looking for an alternative. When I say back up the alternative, I'm not saying that look for an alternative which is not good enough. Look for an alternative which will qualitatively also be of a high standard. That's my advice in the current scenario.
If you can say look at say over the past 3 years, what are some two typical trends you're seeing with respect to Indian boarding schools?
Hmm. Past 3 years. Yes. Well, one thing I have seen over the past 3 years is, um, more and more Indian boarding schools are offering more than one curriculum, which, if you really go back in time, was really not the case. And the two curricula that they offer is where they give you a choice between a domestic and an international curriculum. You see? So it could be a CBSE and a Cambridge, it could be a ICSE with an IB, and that flexibility of choice. Another aspect connected with this is that when you look at, there are foreign, oh, no, I won't, yeah, I would say, yeah, foreign schools or foreign boarding schools or overseas schools. And what the trend I'm seeing is particularly British, which have
Mm-hmm.
opened schools in India. So now they are entering. So when you look at a trend, one is that the Indian boarding schools are offering a variety of curriculum, one of which is international. And now we have international schools which are based overseas, opening up in India. You have Eton, Harrow, Wellington, Shrewsbury. These schools coming to India with a residential setup and offering international curriculum. So this is one trend I have seen over the last couple of years, and which does attract students. They have options, more options, and parents also wish to seek, these options, and finally take a call as to which school they would like to send their children to. Secondly, I feel residential schools, we always consider ourselves to be a home away from home for our children, right? And when we talk about a home away from home, a lot of care goes into that. If you've got to make your child, these are our children. That's what we always say. They are our children, and we are in service of our children. And today, that in service of our children, care of our children, I think has taken on a totally new meaning. We recognize the complex situations of the world today, the society, the world, the sort of extreme, what should I say? How do I put it? The sort of when you talk about closeness and care of your child, you're talking about mental well-being, physical well-being, emotional well-being of the child. You're talking about having counselors on board 24/7, like our school has a behavioral counselor, a special educator. You're talking about absolutely helping them to navigate the tough stage of tough and happy, I would say, stage of adolescence, right? Because that comes with its challenges. So a lot of child centricism, where you are keeping the child at the center of your attention and focus, and you are doing your utmost to ensure that he or she is well taken care of, because we do recognize our responsibilities with respect to those children, um, that we are, in the absence of their parents, their substitute parents. So today, residential schools, I think we are taking taking this responsibility very seriously. And so there are seminars, there are workshops we send our teachers to, we go ourselves for, we celebrate leadership of our students, we send them for workshops. We'll do everything, whatever it takes to get to even, to upscale everything that we give to them, whether it's academic, education, technology integration, wellness, well-being, the works, sports, everything. So I feel that what we see today with respect to nurturing the child has gone up several notches over the last few years.
Okay, okay. Now, over the last couple of weeks, there has been a lot of debate about whether or not we need a two-language policy or a three-language policy. What is your take on this?
Oh my goodness, this has really caused quite a furor, I know, all
Yes.
over the country. It's reached the Supreme Court, so language to teach a language or to expect children to learn new languages, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, they are at that age and stage of their lives when they are so receptive to
Yes.
diverse streams of knowledge. And learning a language is never going to cause any harm to a person. I mean, it makes you very more employable. It makes you more versatile. It helps you to go from one place in India to another or one country to another. It makes you feel so much more free. I would say that freedom, right? Because language is connected with the expression. It's connected with communication. So for me, learning one language, two language, 10 languages, honestly, for an individual is never going to be a cardinal sin. But I do not understand how a policy can be, I mean, how people feel, the thinkers feel, the people who are in power feel that you can implement a policy in an ad hoc manner.
Yes.
This is my issue. I am worried. Okay, they've got this R1, R2, R3. We all schools will have to work out what is going to be most suitable. But where are your timelines? When you bring about a very big change in a system, I do not think even few months will suffice for the transition to take place. Where is that transition time? And now we've been told come July, it begins. And schools
Yeah.
are floundering. Where do we have the teachers? Do we have trained teachers? When I talk about, you could have a person who's an expert in Tamil, for example, but is he a teacher?
Mm.
Is she a teacher?
Correct.
Does she know or he know the techniques of imparting that knowledge? So you have so I feel the timelines are what timelines are there actually? Where is the transition time? And it's a
Yeah.
very, very big challenge because I feel if education has to have any meaning, you can't take the quality out of it. So if we have to do anything, let's do it well. And let's do it with this in mind that qualitatively it has to be of a very high standard. And today's scenario is one which is it's frightening. It is a bit frightening. We're all trying to figure out how do we implement it in such a short period of time. So ad hoc approach, I may be using the wrong word, but you know what? Just suddenly asking institutions to go ahead with it, um, it's a tough call for the institutions because we believe that the children need to get the best. And we can't be confused in our minds about how we've got to deliver the best. And you've got to give us time to prepare for the best, to prepare to
Yes.
give them the best. So, language, to increase a language is never an issue. I have no issues with that. But the manner in which it's being done is, I don't know how much thinking has gone into it. I'm sure some thinking must have gone into it. The practicality seems, I'm a bit lost on that, but how practical it's going to honestly be. That's what I feel.
Okay. So I think we'll wind up with one last question, which is, is there a movie or a book on education or for educators that you would recommend?
When I think of movies, of course, there is that famous Tare Zameen Par, where, I mean, I think it encapsulates so beautifully what an educator is all about. The sensitivity, the ability to notice, the ability to help a child play to his strengths, and the ability to raise someone from being made to feel a zero to being made to feel that he is his own person. There's another wonderful film called To Serve with Love. It's a very old English film. Very,
Yes.
very you yes,
Yes.
you might have heard of it, Sidney Poitier in that film, and what is the transformative impact of a teacher, how he can bring out the best even amongst those who are considered to be the most indisciplined. And a book which I read which had a profound impact on me is I read it some years ago. It's called Tuesdays with Maury. It's
Okay.
written by Mitch Albom, Albom, and it's about a student who visits his teacher. I mean, he's well past his college and he goes back to his teacher when he hears that his teacher is suffering from an incurable illness. And over those Tuesdays, I think they're 12 Tuesdays, the discussions that the teacher has with his student. So, what is the role? It made me think the teacher is not only a person who teaches you a subject, he's your mentor, he's your guide. There's that bond. Why would a person after so many years go to meet his teacher who's on his deathbed and have these conversations, which had a profound impact on him. So I feel, educators must understand that their role is so much more than just teaching a subject. In fact, what is truly important is this, the walking the talk, character building, conversations, dialogue, learning together. You learn together with your student, and the student learns with his teacher. So that book I found, very profound about the influence educators can have on a person's life much after you've passed out of school or college. That stays. As they say, it's those good vibes, those good memories, the good thoughts which stay more than bookish knowledge. And that book, it's a simple, small paperback, but it's lovely. So that's a book I would advocate, for anyone who uh, feels along these lines or thinks along these lines, like, because, we've got to have a heightened sense of sensitivity as educators. And I think that book brings it out beautifully. That's
Absolutely.
yeah.
So, thank you so much for being with us. This brings us to the end of the interview. It was wonderful having your inputs. Thank you.
Thank you. It was wonderful being here. Thank you so much for the honor and the privilege.